There are those that live in the shadow of success and others who create their own glow. There is no doubt it's easier in Hollywood to have an in, but when your parents have had recognition over a multi-movie legacy, what does it take to make your own mark? Let's look at some examples of actors who may have started down the paths of their parents before they found their creative voice and took some steps of their own. If you're Hollywood royalty, it only makes sense that you'd pass that talent along to a princess, but who knew she'd take that fame to a galactic level? Debbie Reynolds was a star from the moment she was opposite Gene Kelly in the film Singin' in the Rain. After that role, she was featured in numerous MGM musicals as a perky young lady who could charm the coldest of hearts. She was nominated for her role in The Unsinkable Molly Brown, where she played a naive farm girl who survived the sinking of the Titanic.
Belly up to the bar, boys! Better have a few more!
Carrie Fisher grew up understanding the limelight after witnessing her mom's highly publicized divorce from Carrie's father, Eddie Fisher. This didn't stop her from pursuing acting. She was up for everything. However, Carrie Fisher, of course, will always live on as our Princess Leia and forever alter our perception of the heroine. I got to be the only girl in an all-boy fantasy, and it's a great role for women. She's a very proactive character and gets the job done. So if you're going to get typecast as something, that might as well be it for me. Debbie and Carrie departed for the stars only one day apart in 2016, but their light will be felt for eons more. When your father plays the everyman known by every man, Colin Hanks could easily have been forgiven for not following in the same path. The multi-Oscar winning Tom Hanks has captivated us for years with classic roles in films like Castaway, Saving Private Ryan, Philadelphia, and so much more. However, Colin Hanks has carved himself a place in the acting world to also be thankful for, and started early on by taking cues from his father. In the 2000s, Colin took roles as a comedic protagonist in films like the criminally underrated Orange County and The House Bunny. He broke into more prominent supporting roles in films like Peter Jackson's King Kong and Oliver Stone's W. However, it's his small screen roles that have really stood the test of time, appearing in Roswell with Katherine Heigl, Fargo, and Dexter. He still has the same everyman qualities as his father, while at the same time keeping his profile exactly as he enjoys it. Bruce Dern has been starring in films for over 6 decades, and despite being well into his 80s, isn't slowing down at all, with recent roles in Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the award-darling Nebraska, which landed him an Oscar nomination. He still has 11 roles in films listed over the next 2 years, and over 100 starring roles. And playing catch-up would be tough for any offspring, but his daughter, Laura Dern, seems to have picked quality over quantity. While she's best known as the precocious paleobotanist Ellie Sattler in the Jurassic Park franchise, Laura had been hitting it out of the park since the 80s. From David Lynch's Blue Velvet and Rambling Rose to dramas like October Sky, Wild, and her Oscar-winning supporting role in Marriage Story, Laura Dern literally stood tall to eclipse her father's decade-long shadow. Oh yeah, of course she's in Star Wars as the memorable Admiral Holdo too, my nerd compatriots, but dive into her career of carefully curated greatness and you'll see why she's one of the most in-demand actresses working today. Now, when it comes to fame versus career roles, it's tough to say who comes out on top between Angelina Jolie and her father, Jon Voight. It's important to remember how much of a cultural touchstone Voight was in his heyday, with enduring performances in Midnight Cowboy, Runaway Train, and Deliverance. He won his first Oscar for his lead in the film Coming Home when Angelina was barely 4 years old. Before she was Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, she chewed up scenes opposite Nick Cage in Gone in 60 Seconds, tracked serial killers in The Bone Collector, and won an Oscar for her role in Girl Interrupted. And now with Disney leaving her Maleficent claws intact and the MCU casting her in the Eternals, it's hard to see who will end up with the longer career when it's all said and done. One of the biggest feats of strength that Ben Stiller was able to accomplish was to wrestle the comedy crown from his dad, Jerry. For years in the 60s, Jerry Stiller was part of a husband and wife team on variety shows like Ed Sullivan and The Tonight Show, but it was his iconic turn as Frank Costanza on Seinfeld that forever immortalized Jerry Stiller as a legend of TV, as long as you never steal his TV guide. He even appeared in some of his son's movies.
I got a prostate the size of a honeydew and a head full of bad memories.
But Ben worked his way up the ladder his own way, but it wasn't until There's Something About Mary that Ben became a household name in comedy like his father. Ben has also created comedy classics like Tropic Thunder, Zoolander, and deeper character pieces like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. While Jerry has since passed, we can assume watching his son's success helped him find serenity now.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
Ramon Antonio Gerard Estevez decided to shorten his name to Martin Sheen, and honestly, that's probably easier to fit on his numerous awards. While iconic roles in films like Coppola's Apocalypse Now, Wall Street, and The Departed mean that Martin could have retired a long time ago, if he had, he would have missed out on the numerous accolades that came from playing President Josiah Bartlet in The West Wing. While his sons Emilio and Carlos took different but still successful paths to acting, Carlos, better known as Charlie, was almost as well known for his antics off-screen. While Emilio went on to direct films like Bobby, Charlie found much of his fame in 90s comedies, with films like Men at Work, Major League, and Hot Shots. After his stint in rehab, he found a new life on the set of the long-running series 2.5 Men. Now, the dad might take it in this round, but all in all, that's a talented bunch of Estevezes. One ancestry that might not seem as obvious as some of the others on this list might be Wes Anderson's Darjeeling darling, Jason Schwartzman, and his mother, the incredible Talia Shire. Talia Shire is likely best known for her role as Adrian in the Rocky series and as Connie in the Godfather trilogy. Like her character Connie Corleone in the Godfather saga, she is the youngest member of her family and the only daughter. That family, of course, is the film legend Coppola family, as Talia is the sister of Francis Ford Coppola. Frankie's nephew, therefore, is Jason, the son of Talia and producer Jack Schwartzman. Jason is the big bad in films like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and pretty much a staple in any Wes Anderson movie from Rushmore to The Grand Budapest Hotel. If you're gonna be a handsome leading man, it helps if your starting point is Denzel level handsome. John David Washington is still young in what is sure to be a long career, starting out in the TV show Ballers and making his way into films like Black Klansman and Christopher Nolan's Tenet. He is the son of Denzel Washington, whose storied career includes films like Malcolm X, Remember the Titans, and American Gangster. He's got his Oscar gold from his lead role as Alonzo in Antoine Fuqua's Training Day, and Denzel is not slowing down. Never mind, he still has an Equalizer franchise he's carrying. Two of Canada's favorite exports, Donald and Keifer Sutherland, have both had lengthy and diverse careers, with Donald being a reliable character actor since the 60s, with roles in The Dirty Dozen, MASH, Ordinary People, JFK, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and of course, The Hunger Games more recently. Keifer Sutherland took after his father, going through distinct phases throughout his acting career. In the 80s, he was the bad boy in roles like Stand By Me, The Lost Boys, and Flatliners. Following that, he got more serious in dramas like A Few Good Men and A Time to Kill. Most recently, he's having a TV renaissance after his long-standing run as Jack Bauer in 24. With one family member in the MCU as Dr. Eric Selvig and the other playing Pennywise in the It series, you might think the Skarsgards have genre all wrapped up in their Swedish family. However, it's easy to forget how many incredible supporting roles Stellan has had over the years in films like Good Will Hunting, Steven Spielberg's Amistad, or Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. He was originally supposed to have a larger role in The Hunt for Red October, but it was cut down, which is a shame if you watch his intensity in that film. He even brought the thunder in Mamma Mia for Thor's sake. Recently, his 6'3" son Bill has had silver screen success for his moody character parts, and is not the only Skarsgård, following Father Stellan as well, with Alexander and Gustav, both with a growing list of credits as well. Bill has broken out due to his extremely creepy eye-shifting skills as Pennywise in both It chapters, Atomic Blonde, indies like Assassination Nation, and TV roles like Castle Rock. Still very early in his career, but like Stellan, I feel like he'll be popping up in movies for years to come. Hopefully with less creepy clown makeup. While the questions of lineage getting them to where they are remain, these actors clearly show they have the chops to take on iconic roles in their own right. Would they have made it to where they are, in your opinion? We feel there are some here that have gone even further than their parental counterparts.